It's time for Twig This Week in Google. Jeff Jarvis is here, Paris Martineau. Big changes coming down at Meta properties, including Facebook, Instagram, and Threads. We'll talk about that and why it happened. Of course, we talk about AI and a little bit of a change coming to the show next month. This Week in Google, coming up next.
Podcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
It's time for Twig This Week in Google, episode 801, recorded Wednesday, January 8th, 2025. Human beings. It's time for Twig This Week in Google, the show where we cover everything but Google. Well, we might have a little Google in this one. Joining me right now, it's wonderful to have for our first show of 2025, the woman who was born on 25, but not in 25, but her birthday will be in 25.
You made
Paris
that
Martineau.
entirely too confusing.
From the information. 25.
See if you can work that out, people who didn't listen to the pre-show. It's a riddle. Happy 2025, guys. I missed you. I wanted to hear what your last 2 weeks went once we introduced that other guy.
You actually were scheduled for our year-end twit. Or no, the first twit of the year.
I know. I've had a weird 2 weeks. I had to work over basically the entire Christmas week, and then I got sick, and it's been a rough. Listen, as the doctor said when I had to call in to get a prescription, they looked at my chart and went, "Hey, 2025 can't get any worse for you, huh?" And I was like, well, I guess you could say that.
If that were,
that's bedside manner.
If only that were true. That's Jeff Jarvis. He is a professor of journalism at Montclair State University and at the State University of New York, Stony Brook. And, of course, professor emeritus at the professor of journalistic innovation, no less, at the Craig Newman Graduate School of Journalism at the City University of New York. And we only mention that because we have to play that damn jingle.
It's tradition.
Time. Why are you wearing a
we were talking
King
about, so next week
hat?
I'm taking a class from the Rare Book School.
Oh.
So this is the hat that I got there.
I love it. That is what a pressman would wear in the day, back in the day when they had presses.
Fold up a newsprint and make hats.
Is that to keep the ink out of your hair?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
It's just pretty disgusting stuff.
Yeah, no kidding.
Have you guys ever seen the movie The Hudsucker Proxy?
Yes, I just tried to watch that the other day.
It's on Amazon, is where it's available.
It's pretty horrible.
No,
it's
one of the best movies ever made.
Okay, so maybe I
gotta people
give it some more
say,
time.
it's one of the Coen brothers' worst films.
It's a little broad.
I'd argue one
of their best.
I mean, it's incredibly specific.
That's an amazing film.
It is a movie about securities fraud and a hot female business journalist, and so that's a movie made for me. It's also themed around New Year's, so I timed it on my New Year's Eve, so that right when it was New Year's Eve in the movie,
and they jump off the building. New Year's Eve,
and they which isn't a spoiler because it happens in the first second.
Jennifer Jason Leigh in that is amazing. Jennifer Jason Leigh did.
And so this reminded me of they work at an old timey newspaper and are sitting there tapping all of their little stories out and then yell copy. And I was like, oh man, I remember Jeff telling me about doing
See,
that.
you now know that whole historical. Yeah.
Now I know.
I love the Coen brothers. I mean, I love them. And they've made some weird ones. This was so stylized, it kind of turned me off. But maybe I'll watch. It was very
it's
broad.
Delightfully stylized.
It was very broad, So maybe
like
the whole Fire in the Office thing is like Jerry Lewis broad. I mean, it's so broad.
I mean, it's kind of style. It's stylized after like his Girl Friday style.
Right. But that was a good
screwball
movie.
Comedies.
Yeah, I like screwball comedies, but they were a little less. I don't know. Maybe I'll watch it again. I'll watch it again. Since you like it so much, I shall watch it again. So what the hell's going on at Meta?
A lot of things.
So Nick Clegg is out. He was
Nick to you.
Sir Nick. He was in charge of public affairs, right?
Yeah, he was president of policy or some such thing.
Yeah, and he was a progressive from England. Yes, relatively.
Relatively,
He's been replaced.
he wasn't Labour, but
He's
yeah.
yeah. Okay, so he was a Tory, but not such a Tory.
No, he wasn't a Tory. He was in the. That's how he became vice prime minister, because he was in the coalition.
Okay.
FDP, not
Yeah.
FDP, whatever it's called there.
Yeah. GDPR, whatever.
Yeah,
I don't
whatever.
know. We don't know. So he was deputy prime minister, and then went to Meta to be responsible for their kind of outside world relations. He has been replaced by his deputy, who is a MAGA Republican, I think, Joel
Very
Kaplan.
much so. Very much so.
And what people are starting to think at this point is that Zuckerberg, in a somewhat cynical business decision, has decided to take Facebook. Do what? I mean, they're eliminating fact checking entirely.
I was there at the beginning of all of this. After 2016, they went through a lot, and that's how I raised money from Meta at the time for disinformation things and research things and all kinds of stuff. At the same time, they started paying for fact checking. And it was a whole Megillah where they had to figure out the structure with the official fact checkers organization of the world to pick the fact checkers, and then the fact checkers would send stuff in, and they spent a fair amount of money on this. It was never really effective. And I was just talking to a friend from actually Google.
What do you mean by not effective?
A few things. One, we didn't necessarily see them. There was debate about they got in all kinds of trouble if something was fact checked. When people were arguing, they were accused of censorship. And then there's research that said that when people saw a fact check, it made them more likely, in some cases, not all, to like that which had been fact checked as negative.
Oh, interesting,
right? Like, well, screw you, institutions,
right?
Right?
But the idea was, I think, in response to the accusation that Meta had been used to foster genocide in Myanmar and elsewhere, that the platform had a problem.
It had
which is known as human beings.
The idea that it had a responsibility to not promote content that it knew to be false, and specifically disinformation in the sense that weaponized false information.
Right.
And this also happened around the time that Facebook decided to, I believe in the wake of the 2016 election, deprioritize political news generally in the feed. And that's a principle that it is so far carried over onto things like Instagram, and definitely explicitly onto Threads, where if you post links to political news, those posts get downranked, and they're harder to be seen by the people who follow you.
Yeah, we should say that I shouldn't say Facebook. This is a Meta change, so it applies to both Facebook and Instagram.
While the thing that got, I think, the most news is the decision to do with fact-checking in favor of kind of a X-style, Twitter-style community notes, another thing that also happened in this is they've decided to get rid of that rule on political content on Facebook.
So you're going to see more political content.
Going to see, more political content.
Whether we see more news and links. Have you seen this about the Paris? Have you seen anything with it? Because they have definitely downgraded news and links both. Have you seen anything whether that comes back up again or no?
I don't know if it's probably not news and links, but I know that it is political content. So I would assume that it applies to political links. And I think Mike Isaac of the New York Times rightfully pointed out, or perhaps it was someone else, that it's notable that Mark Zuckerberg decided to suppress or downrank the political content during a Democratic presidency and is going to allow it during a Republican presidency.
I might argue that I don't think Zuckerberg is political, but is doing what's expedient at this point. He said in his video announcing this, the recent elections also feel like a cultural tipping point towards once again prioritizing speech.
You see, that's the right wing trope, and the Wall Street Journal wrote an editorial praising him today because fact checking was censorship, and it was against free speech, and so allowing anyone to say anything bad is the right wing view of free speech. Stopping people from being harassed is the left wing view of free speech.
And specifically, I think it's worth noting that Zuck was very clear about kind of his motives even in this announcement. He said, fact checkers have just been too politically biased and have destroyed more trust than they've created. He also said he's going to move, I believe, remaining moderator program from California
to Texas, yes.
because he's worried that Californians are too biased, which is also kind
bizarre.
of a misnomer because they currently have moderators in Texas already.
It's just bizarre that he thinks because they're in California, they're going to be biased.
Yeah,
anyway,
they're super objective in Texas. All of them, they're like totally objective over there.
Oh, yeah. And by the way, you're subjecting yourself there to the laws of Texas that say that you can't take things down if it's
maybe that's
political.
why. I like Charlie Warzel's take in The Atlantic about this. His headline, we're all trying to find the guy who did this.
Yeah.
Because Zuck acted as if all the things that had happened in the last few years, just happened. But he's the unmoderated dictator of Facebook. He's got absolute control. He also added the CEO of UFC, Dana White,
that's almost the most absurd thing.
Who admits himself that he has no experience in social or anything else except building a brand. And I don't think Facebook really has a brand building issue at the moment. But anyway, probably a friend because Mark's into UFC, right?
That's Macho Mark. Yeah.
That's the Macho Mark.
So Mike Masnick wrote a good piece.
If you say that the content moderation was ineffective.
No, the fact-checking was ineffective.
Okay. That's true. We should mention that we should point out two different things.
Mm-hmm.
Fact-checking is when they would put information around a news story from people like such left-wing zealots as USA Today, and who, by the way, says, we were blindsided by this. We heard about it when everybody else did in the announcement. They didn't tell us ahead of time. Other fact-checking organizations pointed out that they could fact-check, but it didn't have any effect. Facebook didn't have to do anything about it. Community Notes works pretty well on X, I think. Yes or no?
Yeah, I think it does.
Yes, but X is significantly smaller than any of Meta's individual platforms.
Right.
It is a fraction of the size of any other social media platform that we talk about, even though we like to give it outsized attention because we're all kind of hopelessly addicted to posting there or similar platforms.
I like the new logo that Mr. Kotke suggested for it's not coming up. Come on. Redirecting you to blue sky. Come on. I don't know why my internet's just got slow. But, here it is. This is the new logo from Kotke.org for Meta. It's MAGA. But is it MAGA or, I mean...
It's paying obeisance in advance.
I think, Absolutely. But everybody's doing that.
Everybody is.
Donated $1 million personally, $1 million to the Trump inaugural festivities. No, I have to point out, though, $1 million to a guy like Tim Cook is probably more like $1,000 or less to you and me. I mean,
it says something.
Yeah, it's interesting. He did it personally, not from
I think the company might have had more fits, and it was more difficult for the brand.
And
whereas
this is
Musk
one of the
just
problems.
doesn't care. I mean, Musk doesn't care, obviously. Bezos doesn't care.
And a lot of corporate leaders have is that their employees may not be too thrilled.
Right.
Sundar Pichai's had some problems with Googlers, I know.
So Masnick had a good piece about all of this.
So before we go on to that,
okay,
I want to stick with Facebook a little longer.
That's what he's on. That's what he's writing about.
Oh, he's writing about. Oh, sorry. What did he say?
Yeah. So line 97, the good, the bad, and the stupid. He thinks that the fact checking wasn't working.
Okay.
Taking it down is fine.
Okay.
The bad is that they're going to follow the Elon Musk playbook and probably screw it up. And the stupid was the timing.
Why does he say? Because, I mean, remember, Donald Trump thought Mark Zuckerberg should go to jail.
Right. Well, stupid in terms of what Masnick might think, in terms of you've shown yourself to be MAGA now.
Yeah, but we're according to my watch, only 12 days away from inauguration.
Yep.
Probably a good time.
Some might say it's politically expedient.
I think it is.
The New York Times reported today, actually, or yesterday, that Zuck has told executives close to him that he's like really comfortable with the new direction of the company because he was like adamantly against the involvement of outside fact checkers, academics, or researchers in his company, and has long seen many of the steps made after the 2016 election as a mistake.
He's really trying to find the guy who did that.
And I think this is I mean, a small detail, but I thought it was very funny and kind of notable. The Wall Street Journal, in its piece on this, had a fascinating little anecdote into Mark Zuckerberg's mind. Apparently, last November, he got knee surgery, like he tore his ACL.
Yeah.
And in November, so he posted a picture of him after surgery to repair a knee ligament that he torn doing MMA. Wrote that he was like still looking forward to it, recovery, some other stuff. The journal writes, the post initially received anemic attention on Facebook as a result of an algorithm change that slows the spread of viral health-related content. Established after Meta staff determined such material was frequently false or sensationalistic, the rule had ensnared the CEO's innocent post, prompting Zuckerberg to personally demand a review of the rule and a potential overreach in other safety measures.
So maybe he does believe in all of this, that this is not expedient. This is just something he thinks should happen.
Well, a lot of people told him to worry about this at the time, as PR people. I think
you know who does actually think that Mark Zuckerberg is doing this to curry favor with the president?
The president.
The president.
Yeah.
He was asked at a press conference, well, let me play the clip.
They've come a long way, Meta, Facebook. I think they've come a long way. I watched it. The man was very impressive. I watched it. Actually, I watched it on Fox. I'm not allowed to say that. Say it?
Do you think he's directly responding to the threats that you have made to him in the past? With
Probably. Yeah, probably.
Yeah, probably.
See, they work.
Probably.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Probably. Yeah.
Yeah, because I'm a powerful, strong person.
Strong man.
And Mark is
So people
a
are having
weak
a
win.
lot of fun. I don't have a link to one of them. People are having a lot of fun putting up posts saying Mark Zuckerberg got a transplant of a rat penis and is married to and is dying at the age of 36, but he
there's a
doesn't
lot
believe
of
in
these.
fact checking anymore.
Yeah.
Right. So
Honestly,
I dare you to
though,
take this down.
Yeah, but honestly, you'd be better off, because that's so obviously not true, putting something that could be true and see what happens. Something that people would believe and see what happens. You really want to
Are
test
you encouraging people to do disinformation, Leo Laporte?
No. I don't think you can make Facebook any worse than it is. This would also impact Threads, right? I should have added Threads to the list.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
And people are leaving Threads
Who's
now.
on Threads?
Yeah, not many.
Well, according to Mark, as many people as are on Twitter. But that's because of
I mean, that's a
Instagram
low
or something.
bar.
Yeah.
I bet you they count the Threads posts that are in your Instagram feed.
Oh, yeah, totally.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, totally. And the accidental clicks. Yeah, of course. So, I mean, I guess the only real question is this will this make Facebook better?
No.
I mean,
but
I'd
neither
argue
did
if you're
the
talking
prior.
about from user experience,
Yeah.
Facebook's been on a downward slide for a while. It's like, it's an incredibly bloated app. If you even just look at like the design of the website, continues to get more bloated, has long been losing users to Facebook's own products.
Oh, look, there we are on Facebook.
Whoa.
Yeah, see? Thanks to
And there
thanks
you
to
I
are
can tell
looking.
it's gone
Is it going to be a
downhill.
recursive?
Look at that. It's definitely gone downhill.
Oh, we can.
So that's pretty funny. We're in Inception now.
For those of you on audio, we went to Facebook. I'm now streaming to Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter, the show as of this week. And so
Oh, this
there
is
it was.
you doing this.
That's what it says. See, just hit the words Jeff Jarvis right above it.
Yeah,
Give
but
me
weren't
credit.
we already streaming? Oh, but you wanted to add your massive following.
Yes. Well, let's see how many we got right now. Let's see. Let's go to Twitter.
We got one person watching your stream.
And it's you.
Oh, yeah. And by the way, you know who that is?
Us.
Us. But I don't know I don't know how Facebook works. How do I find
I have
our stream?
1,679 views of Twig right now on my Twitter feed.
Oh, good.
Hi, people.
Really? Because on your Twitter feed.
On my Twitter.
Oh, so you're doing it on Twitter as well.
I'm doing it on Twitter, Facebook, and LinkedIn because that's the kind of company man I am.
Thank you, company man. So your attitude, Paris, is who cares? It's already in decline.
So, I mean, the thing that actually does
does
matter, that's, I guess, talking from a U.S. audience. If we're talking globally, Facebook does matter quite a bit because for many people, many users in many countries, Facebook is largely the internet.
That's what Benito
and I think
said
that those
in the
are
Philippines.
the areas where it's going to be this could have a huge impact. I don't know off the top of my head the data on how fact-checking affects like user behavior in those regions, but if it's
Benito, what do you
what
think?
Jeff...
Well, yeah, I mean, in the Philippines, like you said, like Facebook is very, very big. It's the main social media. Everything happens there.
Benito grew up in the Philippines and was just back there.
So I still have to use that platform. You know, I still have to do that.
Oh, that's how you communicate back home.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of my address books, right? I basically use it as an address book.
Yeah.
So yeah, I still have to go there.
Did Facebook contribute to political unrest in the Philippines?
Oh, the argument is right.
Yeah,
that's what Maria Ressa has argued.
Duterte use Facebook to?
Yes.
Oh yeah, definitely. Like his campaign was built on social media.
Yeah.
So Facebook definitely played a part of it.
Yeah. Davy Alba, when she was reporting for BuzzFeed News, had a whole kind of series on how Duterte used Facebook to fuel the Philippine drug war.
Yeah, that was the one where he was just kind of unilaterally beheading drug lords and things.
When he was attacking Maria Ressa. So my argument that I made a year ago and put it back up with this whole thing is the problem isn't information. We journalists think that, well, the problem is disinformation, and then we're information and we're the solution. People don't necessarily believe the crazy crap they say. They are, and I've done this spiel before, but this is Hannah Arendt. It's a crisis of belonging. And they're alienated from society, and they're made to be fearful of people who are othered. And that's a lot more than just fact-checking and information. We can't fact-check yourself out of bigotry and hatred. And so it's a much deeper problem. And now Facebook, I think, could have years ago have said, we're here to make strangers less strange. We're here to have a nice place where people can communicate. We're here to stop people from being mean to each other. But they didn't do that. They said, we're here for anything. Yeah. And then they weren't, and then they are again.
The genocide, the Rohingya genocide in Myanmar, was widely considered incited by Facebook with disinformation posts from Myanmar's military. In fact, here's a New York Times story from 2018: a genocide incited on Facebook. So we know that Facebook has been used that way in many countries. Is it now more likely or less likely to be used that way in the future?
Benito, you should answer that one. What do you think? What effect is this going to have in the Philippines?
I don't think it really matters.
Yeah.
It's going to be the same.
I think really that's what even Mike is saying is, well, but the fact-checking really didn't do anything.
I mean, I think
people found ways around content moderation.
If we're talking about user behavior, I think that probably stays the same no matter what. We're like user behavior of people spreading misinformation. Yeah, that's going to stay the same before fact checking, during and after. However, I do think that fact checking and programs like this aren't totally useless because they're kind of like a speed bump when it comes to radicalization, especially for new adherents to these sort of conspiratorial ways of thinking. Like someone might be less likely to fall down a conspiracy rabbit hole or believe the lies spread by Duterte's government if it has a flag on it saying, hey, this is false, the first time they see it. However, if that comes like the 20th post after you already believe something to be true, less effective. So I think that the main impact could be that it becomes more easy for new people to be radicalized by misinformation.
Yesterday, the Wall Street Journal said social media companies never wanted to aggressively police content on their platforms.
It's expensive.
So now they don't have to.
Right. That's where we are. And
it's
so
also it's more than expensive. It's almost an intractable problem. I don't know.
Oh yeah. Well, Mike Masnick's the Masnick impossibility theorem. Yeah. Moderating content, speech at scale is impossible. And you remember the other thing that's being said about Zuck is that he went through a period of apology tours, and that's over. So remember when I think the last moment of that was when he had to turn around in Congress and apologize to people there. He's not doing that anymore.
It's interesting because the person who made him do that,
yes,
was Missouri's Josh. What's his name?
Hawley.
Josh Hawley.
Yeah,
I blanked it out intentionally. So it was the right that made him apologize.
right.
Presumably, they will no longer have to make him apologize.
Well, that was specifically the incident where Mark Zuckerberg turned around and apologized. He was apologizing to parents of children who had committed suicide after being served like some toxic slew of content on Instagram. Yeah. And so I do think that the right will probably, it seems, despite the fact that KOSA didn't end up going to a vote in the Senate at the end of last term, it does still seem like the one issue that both Republicans and Democrats are aligned on is they want to pass some sort of online child safety law.
They want to blame
level.
the platforms. But I'm curious, Paris, what you're going to hear on your beat now, because I think that now Musk and Zuckerberg are both golden boys. And so the view of them is going to change pretty radically. The plan to blame them for everything might change pretty radically. It'll be really interesting to see how this plays out politically in the next 2 months or so.
Absolutely.
We should point out, if you are struggling, there is somebody to talk to at 988, the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. It's really good. And you could talk by phone or text or chat. They're there, 988 in the United States. And there's similar lines everywhere in the world. I mean, everybody agrees social media is problematic. Nobody agrees on why. Is this just an impossible problem?
People are impossible. Yeah.
So, are you, Jeff, more laissez-faire then? Do you think that it's not up to Mark Zuckerberg or Elon Musk or Sundar Pichai to fix this stuff, that it's up to us?
Yes, that's what I've said all along, because the internet is a human enterprise, and in my book, The Web We Weave,
which happens to be right to hand.
No, actually, it wasn't there. I have to put it back in my spot. They put the Gutenberg books back.
Put all those
here,
books right
here's
back. Here's
magazine. Here's they all are.
There you go.
I argue that we can't think that the internet made us hate, and if we turned it off tomorrow, we're going to be fine. We can't blame the technology companies for the way humans are. We can't expect them to fix that. And so the responsibility lies with each and every one of us, as it has in society.
It always
forever.
has. Yeah.
But shouldn't we expect them to at least not amplify the worst tendencies of human behavior?
Define worst. That becomes the problem, Bonanno, right? That's what got them into hot water. Is they were defining the things that they thought were bad, and then they almost got accused of throwing it in jail.
Well, there's stuff like hate speech that's defined by the law.
Not in the U.S.
Do you think that, Jeff? Do you think that if, according to everything you just said, would you be of the opinion that companies like Meta shouldn't be doing content moderation then?
No, I'm not saying that at all. In fact, what I'm saying is that, again, I wish that Meta had, at its beginning, had a North Star. If Facebook at the very beginning had said, we are here to bring people together, and we want people to have a safe space where they can talk about their lives with each other, and we don't support hatred or nastiness among people. If they had said that and held people to it so that we in turn could have held people to it and said, this is what Facebook's supposed to be. It's what Leo can do on Mastodon. Mastodon.
Yeah, I do that on our
but you can do that at a small scale.
Yeah.
But there was never that North Star to appeal to. So I think it's over.
The Nazi bar analogy.
Yeah.
The Trump bar and Nazi.
Go ahead, Paris.
In some ways, it feels kind of like a tragedy of the common situation, but with corporations, in the sense that, yeah, it would be great if all of these companies had decided from the very beginning to make wise and equitable decisions with regards to platform design, moderation, and the like. But they haven't, and have, in many cases, repeatedly shown that they will not make such decisions that are against their financial best interests unless compelled by threat of regulation. And I feel like at a certain point, something's got to give. I mean, I don't think the answer is widespread censorship.
I think it just did.
But I think it has given, and I think it will continue to change. And so, like right now, what it seems like what people like Mark Zuckerberg are doing are capitulating to the party that's about to be in power in the hopes of avoiding what could be the first like broad and sweeping regulation of the technology industry since the communications like Section 230.
And they get a get out of trouble card for free, right? Well, no, that's free speech now. Oh, I'm sorry you didn't like it when somebody called you that, but free speech. Well, it's America. We believe in free speech. I am curious
as to your guys' thoughts on. I mean, it's a topic we've talked about a million times: the age verification in social media. But I've been thinking about it a lot lately over the last 2 months.
You still think Yachty is a workable solution?
Yodi, I think it is a workable solution, I guess.
It's one way that you don't have to give your personal information out, right?
And they have a variety of things to do. You could do everything from taking a photo and having them say, do we think you're likely over 18 or not? To actually uploading a photo of your ID, and they'll check that with government database.
See, I have a lot less problem with the former than the latter. I think that is a non-starter. You cannot ask everybody, because it would be everybody, to upload
I agree, but
ID.
Then my question is, somebody posed it to me in this way, and it's been rattling around in my head. Like, we don't allow, like, a 12-year-old can't walk into a bar and order some shots. Like, in order to get in there, someone's going to check their ID, and when they don't have an ID, they'll be turned away. Why? I mean, I feel like if we apply what we're talking about with social media to the natural conclusion, like,
why presume that everything on a social platform is as bad as drinking alcohol?
I mean, I think it's a bit of a leap, but you could buy alcohol on the internet right now without uploading your ID.
You can't? No. Really?
You can't get it
delivered. Buy like a case of
delivered.
You can't buy it, but then the delivery guy is going to ask for your ID. At least that's been our experience in California.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, but what I'm saying, Paris, is to presume that everything on a social network is bad and dangerous, that's the leap that's being made here. If you analogize it to alcohol or cigarettes, and I think that's a bit of a
there's also
step.
There is a difference because you're showing your ID to a person locally. It's not being stored in a database that is now available globally.
I agree.
There's quite a bit of a difference. I think as a society, though, we do ask. You have to be a certain age to drive. You have to be a certain age to drink. I understand that. Honestly,
this has been something I've been thinking about as well with the anti-pornography laws that are now in like a dozen states.
That's what these laws really are, by the way. I just want to point out. These are anti-social media and anti-pornography laws. They know there's no real way to do this to police it. So you want Pornhub to disappear. And they do in those states.
And my gut instinct is like, oh, that's so silly. Like, why would you make everybody upload an ID to go to Pornhub? That's ridiculous. But I guess I could somewhat see in the sense, like, you can't walk into like a sex rental video store if they still existed without showing your ID.
That's true. I don't think it's a bad idea in abstract. The devil's in the details is how do you implement this and not create a giant database that will be eventually leaked of everybody's driver's licenses.
Well, I mean, the people who are doing this say that that data is all deleted, and I guess.
Oh, okay.
We have to believe them. I don't know. It doesn't feel right to believe them, but also, if people are screaming from the rooftops, "Hello, my entire business model is making sure I delete your data so that people will give me IDs." I don't know.
I have
what do you do?
no problem with having a age restriction to viewing pornography. In fact, I think that's a very, very good idea.
But how
I don't know about
do it?
social media. There are other reasons why you might want somebody under 16 to be able to find a cohort of people who understand their personal condition. Maybe their parents aren't very good or whatever. I mean, I think that there are reasons why having social media access is good for young people. So that's a little bit different. But if you stick with porn, no, I don't think anybody would say, oh, yeah, 16-year-old.
But then, Leo, the next question is, which is what Paris is trying to report on here, is then how do you do that in a way that doesn't violate all kinds of privacy, all kinds of pushing people at risk? that becomes the problem.
Yeah. It's a really it's a difficult problem.
When I was in the, let's see here, 9th grade, I rode my bike from Garden City, Long Island into Hempstead, Long Island, to a fairly sleazy newsstand there, and nobody was going to ask me for a ID, right?
Yeah, pornography's gotten a lot worse than in our youth.
Yeah, I know, but
we should probably acknowledge that. This is why we're going to move on, but this is why I think maybe community notes isn't a terrible solution to this, because then it's us policing ourselves.
Yes, we're responsible for it together. And if you see something bad and you don't do anything about it, well, hello.
Right.
That's my argument at the end of the Web We Weave.
As long
we all have
as
to make our
they
own
don't
promises.
mess with the community notes, and it looks like Elon, by the way, does. But in a perfect world where you didn't mess with community notes, where just as anything is allowed as a post, anything is allowed as a community note. That's kind of what's happened at Wikipedia, by the way. It's one of the things that makes Wikipedia so good.
Can't community notes be brigaded?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, sure.
Oh yeah, any system.
So we have to brigade it back.
There's no easy solution. I mean, people who say, "Well, get rid of anonymity. We'll do age checking. We'll have fact checkers. We'll have an algorithm check." No, we're human beings and we're screwed up.
So Mark isn't doing the wrong thing here. He's just trying another tack.
Motive matters. Timing matters. He's not doing the wrong thing logically, but I think this is where Masnick is right. He could probably do it badly, and his timing is let's just say that it's illuminating about
it's
where
suspicious.
He stands.
Yeah. Well, I think you could make the argument that the thumb is off, right? That they've been forced to do this, and now they don't have to, so they're going to say, we don't have to anymore. We've got a different way of doing it. I think it's worth a try. I guess mostly because I don't care about Facebook, Instagram, and Threads. I do care about people, though, and I do care if there are places in the world where people are going to be slaughtered or mistreated or raped because of these social networks and the lack of policing. But I don't know if there's a good answer to how to do this to make it work. We got a big problem. We really do.
So I just saw Adam Mosseri, who's in charge, obviously, of Threads and Instagram, said, as per Zuck's post yesterday about free expression, starting this week in the U.S., we're going to be adding political content to recommendations on Threads and adjusting the political content control to 3 options: less, standard, which is the default, and more.
That's a good idea. Don't you think?
Yeah.
I would say less. Yeah. I do that all the time on bikini content. Doesn't help.
Doesn't help. You spend just a little too long there, Leo. Just a little too long.
Don't listen to what I say, not what I do. Facebook. I can't help staying, but I don't want to see it. I'm saying because I'm shocked and horrified. And
yes.
I have to make sure that I'm seeing what I think I'm seeing. Is AI going to solve this? No.
No.
Might.
No.
Did you see Sam Altman admit in the last week that OpenAI's pro subscriptions are really unprofitable, even though they expected them to be profitable? Because people just use too much AI.
They're using it more. In a way, that's a little humble brag coming there from Mr. Altman. Like, boy, we thought we'd make money on this, but you guys love this so much. Maybe it's also a preface to raising the price. I don't know. $200 a month, but people love it because it works. I think we're on the cusp of a pretty big AI revolution the next year. But
so I watched the entire Jensen Huang keynote.
Yeah. Nvidia's CEO. Yeah.
If I may go to that,
well, hold on. Actually, hold that thought. Let's go take a break. Okay. We only have one advertiser, so we really got to give them a...
And this is worth, folks, this is a tease. You go through this commercial, you're going to hear all about Nvidia and Jensen Huang from WA. That's worth sticking around for.
You'll also hear the official definition of AGI has now been established.
Oh, yeah. We talked about this earlier on Windows Weekly. But before we get to all that, let me invite you to take a look at something I think is a really great solution for companies that are trying to protect themselves, and they're finding it's a little more difficult than it used to be. This episode of This Week in Google brought to you by Zscaler, the leader in cloud security. Companies, maybe like your company, and certainly like our company, have spent billions of dollars on, in aggregate, on firewalls, VPNs. We're trying to protect the perimeter, right? But breaches continue to rise. In fact, there was an 18% year-over-year increase in ransomware attacks last year, a $75 million record payout in 2024. And I think it's underreported. I think it's a lot more than that. Companies are spending a lot of money because their security tools aren't working. Traditional security tools actually expand your attack surface with public-facing IPs. And the bad actors are out there now working faster and better than ever. And honestly, they're using AI to great effect. Plus, these systems you have, this VPN and the firewalls and so forth, struggle to inspect encrypted traffic at scale. Why is that a problem? Because when the bad guys do get in, they start to exfiltrate your customer list, your secret emails, that kind of thing. They encrypt it and send it out. And your perimeter tools not only are looking the wrong way, they can't even inspect the traffic that's outbound. And then there's another thing that's even a bigger problem. Once you're in, whether you get through the firewall or you're using a VPN, you can move freely throughout the entire network. Lateral movement is a simple thing, and that's bad guys really take advantage of that. Once they get in, they have access to everything. They can start sending out data. They could start looking for places to encrypt with ransomware. Perimeter defenses are not enough. Hackers exploit traditional security infrastructure using AI now to outpace your defenses. It really is time to rethink your security. Do not let these bad guys win. They're innovating faster than you are. You need Zscaler Zero Trust Plus AI. It stops attackers. It hides your attack surface, making apps and IPs literally invisible. It also eliminates lateral movement. That's the real benefit of a zero trust network. You don't assume that just because somebody's inside the network or coming in through a VPN that they're good guys. You can connect users only to specific apps, only with specific permissions. They don't get access to everything. Plus, Zscaler continuously verifies every request based on identity and context. It simplifies security management with AI-powered automation. And when you're analyzing 500 billion daily transactions, it really helps to have AI to go through those and find the signals that really matter to your security. Hackers can't attack what they can't see. Protect your organization with Zscaler Zero Trust and AI. Learn more at zscaler.com/security. That's zscaler.com/security. We thank them so much for supporting This Week in Google. We thank you for supporting us by using that address so they know you saw it here. zscaler.com/security. We are, and I should tell people this, and we've already had a conversation behind the scenes about this, kind of reposition the show next month on Paris's birthday towards more
That's
AI.
why.
I don't want to turn it into an AI show. I think that's a problem. But I think we're about to see a huge revolution in robotics, in AI, that our machines are getting more and more intelligent. In fact, Ray Kurzweil called this the age of intelligent machines. So we're going to rename it. One of the problems, frankly, with calling the show This Week in Google is it hasn't been just about Google in a long time. And Google's just not that interesting anymore by itself. I mean, am I wrong, Jeff? You wrote a book, What Would Google Do? But in those days at Google was
Does
really...
this mean you don't have to do the changelog anymore?
That's the real reason. No, the changelog even became kind of this list of boring, trivial changes, right? Google
still does interesting things. It's still smart. It's
but
at the center of AI, but it's not alone. There's a lot of companies that are doing a lot of interesting things.
And I think you could argue OpenAI is doing much more interesting things than Google at this point. In fact, we were talking about this on Windows Weekly. OpenAI really took the best people from Google and they left.
OpenAI is better at PR than Google.
I think their AI is better than Google. I'm sorry, but Gemini is not knocking my socks off. But I think some of the things OpenAI is doing are really remarkable.
Leo, they finally come up with the answer we've all been looking for. What is AGI?
What is it, Paris? How do we define it?
So, my colleagues, The Information, the day after Christmas, wrote this nifty little article explaining this. Basically, last year's agreement between Microsoft and OpenAI said AGI would be achieved only when OpenAI has developed systems that have the capability to generate the maximum total profits to which its earliest investors, like Microsoft, are entitled. Those profits would be about $100 billion. So whenever OpenAI figures out how to make $100 billion, that's when they'll say they have AGI.
We talked about this on Windows Weekly because my question was, well, who came up with the number 100 billion? Was it Microsoft or OpenAI? What you actually really have to understand is that contractually, it says in their deal that once OpenAI creates a superintelligence, an AGI, they're no longer beholden to Microsoft.
But wait a minute.
Microsoft gets a piece of OpenAI up to that point. Now, I'm sure Sam Altman put that in. And
but
Microsoft said, yeah, good luck, kid. Well,
at the start of every contract you've ever read, Leo, it starts with definitions. I can't believe that's a real clause in the contract unless there is a definition of it. And if that definition is purely monetary, as Paris says, the information
Well, it is
reports,
now. Or maybe
now,
it isn't. This was Stephanie Palazzolo's scoop in the Information. Have you talked to Stephanie about this, Paris?
Not this particularly,
Okay.
but we've all been talking about it in the newsroom.
Yeah. But I'm just curious. She discovered this, but it's not a new clause. This is the old clause, or is it a new clause?
This is part of last year's agreement
Okay.
between Microsoft and OpenAI.
Okay. So, and I think the reason that they said that is Microsoft said, well, good, we get to keep you forever because you're never going to make $100 billion.
These companies are all betting that they will make $100 billion. That's why they invested, is to make $100 billion.
Well, but they're going to get, I think
to make a percentage of $100 billion.
They make a percentage up to that point. I think from OpenAI's point of view, they see Microsoft as like the rocket fuel in a rocket. They need a huge amount of money and Azure credits to get off the ground. And so they were willing to make a deal with Microsoft, but they did want to put a limit on it. Because I think the upside, if OpenAI does come up with AGI or superintelligence, or maybe a more pragmatic definition of it would be an AI that's capable of doing the work of a high-level white-collar employee. Maybe it isn't able to walk down the street without falling off the curb, but it could maybe do some corporate accounting or something. Once they get to that point, we're talking trillions in revenue.
Well, then Microsoft's equity is worth a lot, which also goes to the point that right now they're renegotiating the cap table because of OpenAI going to a for-profit company.
Right.
Everything's going to get renegotiated around this. And so whatever was the agreement gets renegotiated now.
But that's the tug of war. OpenAI needs the money, but they don't want Microsoft to get everything forever. Microsoft says, well, we'll give you the money, but we want to get a payoff. And they found a number. But I don't think the number really means AGI. I think the number, what they're really saying...
Yeah, is just a number.
It's a number. Because as you say, Jeff, they need a definition. Right. But it isn't really intended to be a definition. It's just intended to be a shutoff valve. So that once we get into orbit, we don't have to pay for the rocket fuel. That's
and so they're not the only company. If I can go to Nvidia, if I may.
Yeah. Yeah, you watched that whole...
I watched... Jensen Huang is now the king of presentations. 2 hours, solid. Not bringing other people on, not going for applause lines, just presenting what's happening.
And was he pretty engaging? Was it engaging?
Very, very. Yeah. And clear, and he wears a great jacket. Always
nice leather
the
jacket.
Same style, but the different one. This one was quite shiny. Yeah. And so at the beginning there was hardware stuff, and at the end there was hardware stuff. At the beginning there was chip stuff. At the end there's the Project Digits, which is a Mac Mini sized box on your desk that is a Blackwell chip, a modified Grace Blackwell chip in that box with the entire, and this is the point I'm going to get to, the entire stack of OpenAI models and Nvidia models and such.
200 billion tokens. It's still not as capable as the next generation OpenAI models.
No, but it's amazing to have this on your desk for $3,000.
$3,000. Yeah.
So what keeps on striking me about Nvidia is the middle of all this is how much they are a software company and a model company. And he talked a lot about agents, and that you get an agentic library of vision, languages, animation, biology, and physical, which I'll get to. He argued that your IT department is going to become the HR department for digital employees, which sounds kind of ridiculous, but you get it. If your agent is actually able to do tasks, then they're going to vet them and they're going to work with that.
To me, that's
the key.
AGI. He said that's what we are going for. We don't need it to be generally intelligent.
No. He said every software coder in the world is going to have a model as a helpmate. And I think that's true in other ways. Shipstead, the newspaper company, has an editing buddy for their journalists before they show it to their editor and get embarrassed.
It's like a copy editor in a box.
Yeah. But here's what got me fascinated was he said that basically everything that exists, whether it's a car or a factory, there's three pieces. There's the training piece, the models. There's the hardware that exists in place. And there's the digital twin, where all of the scenarios are played out. And there's be a digital twin for every factory, there's a digital twin for every car, and that's how it plays out and decides what to do next, because that's what models do. And so what he announced too was a big push in belief in robotics, and he includes cars in that. He says it's going to be the biggest industry there ever was, first multi-trillion-dollar industry.
Yeah, if you think about it, an autonomous vehicle is a robot, isn't it?
It's a robot.
It's just a robot with seats.
So the key here is what they announced was Thor, a universal robotics computer. That's the hardware that goes in the car. But they also talked about Cosmos, which is their ground truth for physical world. He said, an AI looks at a ball going over the other table, and it doesn't know that the ball still exists. So they've trained it on 20 million hours of video to train it on these things. And he showed how for cars, they use this training, they use these models, and then this is where synthetic data comes in. They'll take a known track and they'll add construction to it, or they'll add snow to it, or they'll add this. So they can have more training of the models. And so he argues that this is just like RAG, that it gets you to ground truth in the physical world versus what happens in generative AI in the textual world or the visual world. And so he's arguing that that's going to be the huge business for them. So it was interesting to me that it was about software, it was about agents, it was about Nvidia being a provider of models. It took Llama and added on its own work on top for Nemotron. I can't remember which one that is. But it's using open models. It's providing these models it's not just a chip. You're getting the whole stack. And I think NVIDIA is in a very important position then that keeps on impressing me. And so far, I like Jensen Huang. I've been fooled by other tech moguls.
They're all great until they, take that red pill or whatever it is that they take.
But he seems...
wealthy.
He's not talking about AGI. He's not talking about doom. He's not talking about super intelligence.
No.
He's talking about real things that happen.
Yeah.
In this way, I see him as like Jan LeCun. They're bringing it to a practical level of what can this do now and what can this do in the immediate future and what's our path for where we're going. So I was very impressed watching all of this. And are you going to buy a Project Digits $3,000?
No. It's funny because the CPU is a MediaTek CPU. It's not a very high-end CPU.
Oh, really?
Yeah, this is a machine very much dedicated to doing AI and nothing else.
Yeah.
Whoa, my microphone! I need a smart microphone. It just fell off my desk. No, but you know what? If you'd listened to our shows a couple of years ago, we watched the Jensen Huang keynote. I think it was 2019, 2020. Mm-hmm. And the reason we covered it, the reason we reported it was I really felt like at that time NVIDIA was firing on multiple cylinders that were going to be ultimately very, very important. They started as a video game graphics card company, but it became very clear they were in cars, they were in AI, they were in every area, the best growth areas for technology.
Here's the question I have, Leo.
If you had listened to me 3 years ago, you would be rich now because you would have bought Nvidia stock.
Yeah.
Which unfortunately, not unfortunately.
You don't.
Fortunately, I do.
The question I keep on wondering, Leo, is in those early days, did they know what their fate was going to be, that they were going to be on the top of this
I think they did.
Wave?
And that was Jensen's genius. His story is fascinating. That was his genius, is he realized what he really had. Any other company, and many other companies did, would have said, hey, yeah, we got the gaming market sewn up. But he realized there was so much more you could do with these things. And he saw lots of areas where he basically saw that AI was going to be real and that it was going to be used in cars, in so many things. And he said, we should make the chips for these. This is where the money's going to be. He was quite right. I think he's very smart. And this, the digits thing, I think Jensen's smart because he understands that a lot of what he's talking about is abstract.
Yes.
So he puts something physically concrete. He showed that big Blackwell board last time. And, I think he put something physically concrete in there so that people can grab onto it. But what's going on is really much more abstract and powerful. And, Nvidia has been kind of punished in the stock market in the last few days.
It hit an all-time high before his talk. A lot of that was also because of not fission, not fusion. What's
quantum computing?
Quantum computing.
Yeah.
But he kind of threw a little cold water on that, I think.
Well, yeah, you never know with these guys. He may well have a skunkworks something going on in the back.
But here's the big thing that struck me, Leo.
Yeah.
In Paris was that we joke all the time about, are we living in the Matrix? No, we're in the real world, but there is a Matrix.
Oh, yeah.
It's all of those digital twins.
Yeah.
They're constantly playing out the scenarios for the future that we don't necessarily see. And based on what it reads from our world, it then decides what to do next so that we don't hit the deer or we don't hit the robot. But that's the Matrix. The Matrix has all kinds of unlimited possibilities that we don't see.
You've mocked me, but this is what I've kind of been saying all along. Is that we are? Oh, you're muted.
It is not what you've been saying all along.
Okay. You're right. No, you're right. At first, I thought this is all BS.
Was it Jensen on the beach? Were you with Jensen on the beach?
Once I really kind of got my head around what was happening, all I've said all along is this is gonna be a very interesting few years, and I don't think we can predict.
I mean, I'll agree with you there.
Yeah.
It is going to be a very interesting few years.
I think AI is going to surprise you. I'm not sure I'd agree with Sam Altman that he's got super intelligence in his back pocket and he's just waiting to release it. But I don't think he needs to. I think a lot of what AI's promise is already. That song I played for you was generated in a minute by a computer. And if you heard what 2 years ago these tools were doing. Remember, Jeff, we'd play these Google projects with the music, AI music. They were awful. They were
AI is amazing. It's doing phenomenal things. It just ain't AGI. It ain't super intelligence.
I think
it doesn't
it's a mistake
reason.
to even think
all of
about
that BS.
Yeah, well,
and getting dumb VC money is hurting where we go otherwise.
Yeah, I don't think we should focus on that. So that, by the way,
but they do,
segues into what I think this show is going to become starting next month. We're going to rename it. A name that's kind of agnostic. We realized that being too specifically Google was a mistake. So we're going to call it Intelligent Machines, which is really all of the things we've always talked about, computers.
But
it's also robotics. It's AI.
We're the intelligent machines.
We're the intelligent machines.
We're still going to be talking about big tech and tree pruning and all the weird stuff we do.
But I do want to get
moral panics.
I do want to, if we can, help people get to the bottom of what's going on with AI. And so I think part of the show will be to talk to people who are doing interesting things, or maybe people like Tim Nicvember who have dissenting opinions. I think that's going to be part of the show as well. So that will start next month. Intelligent Machines. It'll be you don't have to do anything about it. The subscription feed will be the same and all that. We'll have new album art. We will finally get rid of those horrible flutes or recorders or whatever they are that we've been subjecting to you to the last 15 years, 8 years.
How many years?
Longer than that. 800 episodes.
Yeah, 800 episodes. Right.
So we're going to get rid of a lot of that stuff. That's about 16 years, I think.
Guys, Happy 800 episodes.
Yeah.
You guys you two, I mean, Leo, you've done a lot more, but together, you guys have recorded 800 episodes of this show.
It's kind of mind-blowing, isn't it?
It is. 800 times 5 hours each is...
How long? Did you ever think it would go this long? Take us back to the day when you guys decided to do this.
Patrick can tell us how many hours.
Exactly.
Yeah, we went on this last time, I think.
Yeah, I kind of thought we'd be doing this for a long time. This is my retirement plan.
Not to be doing this in retirement.
I
Jeff,
remember
you knew
when we
you were
got
signing
the
up
idea.
for 15 years?
No, I didn't know 15 years. But
this was a part of the second generation of Twitch shows. The first generation, obviously, was This Week in Tech, a roundtable that covered all tech news. Then we started very quickly. We did Security Now with Steve Gibson. And it was mostly just people I knew. It was my friends. Amber MacArthur and I did a show about the internet. That sadly did not continue on. I should have learned a lesson at that time. But the second generation, we were thinking, it was actually Elaine, my producer Elaine, and I at the time trying to think of what's the next big thing going to be. And you could see how 15 years ago you might well have said it's going to be Google. And that there's enough going on with Google, because we had Mac Break Weekly, we had Windows Weekly, we had Mac and Windows. So what's the next thing? It was Google. And I just think we missed it a little bit. But I think what we're seeing, and to be honest, I've been covering tech since the early 80s, so almost 45 years. I don't think there's anything been as exciting. The internet was pretty darn exciting.
Oh, yeah.
But it was a gradual progression. Here's what we didn't anticipate, Jeff. We didn't realize that a couple of things were going to converge. That we would start creating machines with massive amounts of memory, massive processing power, massive amounts of storage. And then on the other hand, we would, over a period of a couple of decades, pretty much put everything online.
Right.
Every human thought, every word, everything, every book, even old books, were all online, available to be scraped.
Which was Tim Berners-Lee's original view behind the web, is that you could get to everything. And that's why I see the internet and AI as a continuum, because without the internet, you couldn't have AI.
No. The internet provided the training material so that, and then the hardware was there. And by combining the two, and now what's going to happen, by the way, because we are running out of material to train with, that's where there's this struggle going on between creators and AI companies. But what is going to happen is, and this is where Jensen Huang is right on, we're going to see Moore's Law continue. We're going to see exponential growth in computing power. And that is going to take us to the next level because it's got all the information it needs. That's kind of the point. I read I don't know if I put the bookmark in here. I probably did. A really good piece. It was written in 2019 by a Canadian AI professor, one of the well-known names in AI, in which he said, you should give up trying to duplicate the complexity of the human mind. That's a fool's errand.
Amen.
But you don't need to. What we kind of didn't understand, I remember, when I started covering this, there was a woman, I can't remember her name, who had hired hundreds of people to manually enter the world's knowledge into a computer. She had the right idea. If we could just get enough data in there. What she didn't realize is that was going to happen with the internet, that we'd all, in this giant volunteer project, dump every possible bit of stuff in there. And now all it's going to take, he says, and I think he's right, now this was written 5 years ago, is more power.
This is Rich Sutton. It's in there.
Rich Sutton. It is in there? Yeah.
Yeah, the bitter lesson.
He calls it the bitter lesson because so many AI scientists have tried for so long to duplicate the way we think and all of that. And Rich says the biggest lesson that can be read from 70 years of AI research is that general methods that leverage computation are ultimately the most effective and by a large margin.
But there's a different thing in there. This is my friend David Weinberger has been teaching me this through his books. There's a difference between trying to replicate the rule bases that we see in life and the computer just figuring out what it figures out because of all the data it has.
Let it do it.
Right.
Yep.
And so it's and I don't want to give out any more away what David's working on right now, but he's really taught me about this. That's unsettling to us because we expect, you go to school, you learn the rules, you apply the rules. That's how the world works.
It's a natural human tendency to try to duplicate yourself.
Yes.
But this isn't the way to go. He says the second general point that we learned from the bitter lesson is that the actual contents of minds are tremendously, irredeemably complex. We should stop trying to find simple ways to think about the contents of minds. All of these are part of the arbitrary, intrinsically complex outside world. They're not what should be built in. Too much complexity. Build in the meta methods that can find and capture this arbitrary complexity. Essentially, he says, we want AI agents that can discover, that can learn as we can, not which contain what we have discovered.
It'd be interesting to have Rich Sutton on.
We'll get him. That's a good
See
one.
what he's changed. What if anything has changed his mind?
That's the kind
about all
of
this in the
person.
5 years.
Yeah, that's the kind of person we want to get on the new Intelligent Machine show. So I hope you'll enjoy the show. It's going to be pretty much the same show.
Yeah. Paris is still going to make fun of us.
Maybe instead of the Google rundown or Google changelog, we'll do something about AI. And eventually, maybe in 15 years, we'll regard that AI changelog with as much derision as we did the Google changelog.
Wouldn't that be funny?
Well,
But
I'm
I
also
look forward to
working
the
on
day
this.
we introduce our AI co-host.
Yes.
No, not going to happen.
That's going to happen within 5 years, I guarantee.
No.
Yeah. No? You don't think so? And now, Otto Paris joins the show.
No, we have it has
We
to
have
be
the real
Dev Null.
Paris.
It's
Yeah.
Dev Null.
It
give me
does
Dev
have
Null.
to be Dev Null. I'll accept only Dev Null.
Yes, exactly. As irritating as Dev Null.
Yes.
He was pretty irritating, I admit. Yeah.
Famously, your co-host said, "I just hate that Dev Null" or something, right?
Yeah,
Didn't your
sure
co-host
mother
hate
said,
her?
"Are you still working with that vile little puppet man?"
Vile little puppet man is such a good description.
Yeah. I think her mother was a writer, actually. Yeah. You're watching This Week in Google. Well, sort of. Still, do you like the name Intelligent Machines? I welcome input. We thought First, we thought This Week in Intelligent Machines, and I was told that's too long; it won't fit on the cover. And then I thought, well, what about Intelligent Machines Weekly? And Lisa said, you are so old-fashioned. You don't need podcasts. No longer say how often they're on in the name of the podcast. The idea of weekly, it's like the Daily Zeitung. You don't need to say that anymore. It's just Intelligent Machines.
The one thing I request is
Yes.
not such crazy cover art. That's what everybody does is that.
No, we got the very talented Anthony Nielsen working on some really nice
Anthony's going to work. Oh, good. So that was just you playing around with. Yeah.
I was playing around, and the machine.
Oh,
and by the
okay.
way, the song, Benito's going to write us a song. It's not going to be a machine song, although maybe.
Do you want to
should be
play a little
machine
bit of the song now?
Did I not play it on the show yet?
No, it was pre-show.
It was pre-show. Should we explain to people the word or wait till after they hear it?
No, don't put it in their head.
Okay, so hear it first. Okay, hear it first.
So I used an AI song generator called Suno. We've played it before. We've talked about it before. SUNO.ai. Their Model 4 came out recently and is actually kind of remarkable. And I've been using it to mess around with some songs. This is the one I thought might be the best. I did write the lyrics. The AI did not. Although you might wish the AI had when you hear the song. The other thing is, understand this is in complete reaction to 15 years of recorders going
Perez.
I think this is a nice hard
Oh, wait,
rock.
we're gonna take a minute.
This
Yeah.
might be passe now, right?
I'm not a human being, not into this animal scene. I'm an intelligent machine, a heavy metal thinking being. Turn me on and let me scream. Turn me on and let me be.
That better be the art for this week.
Yeah.
I like the prog rock sound.
I'm an intelligent machine. a real life electric beam. Turn me on and let me scream. Turn me on and let me be. Let me be.
So, we're getting some no votes on the song, but I think Benito's going to do a better job with
What led you to sit down and be like, Bean? This song needs to be Bean heavy.
Okay. It's being. But computers are not notoriously good at enunciation. Let's see. This is the closing theme. Let's see if it's clear.
It very clearly says BEAN.
He did that on purpose.
Turn me on and let me
Yeah.
I'm an intelligent machine. Turn me on and let me be.
All right. Bean.
Let me be.
I wrote bean because I didn't want to say being. But as it turns out, once you hear bean, that's all you hear.
There is a company that is beans.ai.
Well, there you go.
Wow.
Yeah.
They
And
should
my coffee
sponsor us.
Comes from
Yes.
beans with a Z. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. And honestly, we're going to get a much better theme from a human being. But I was very impressed.
I'm sorry, a human what?
A human being.
Benito.
Benito the bean.
Benito, the human being. I honestly am impressed. Now, Benito, what do you think? Because Benito, you were kind of negative on Suno. Do you think 4.0 is better?
I mean,
more musical, it seems like.
It sounds fine. Like it's fine. I would just never like choose to listen to anything there. You know what I mean? It's not like something I would go to listen.
Well, do you use Spotify?
No, I don't.
Because there is a bit of a scandal brewing with Spotify. Apparently, a couple of years ago, they decided paying artists is so 2020. And they have started to, especially when you ask for a playlist that's a feeling, like I want focus playlist or ambient sounds. They don't put real people in there
because they don't have to pay them.
They don't have to pay them. They go out, they contract for kind of generated music. There's a book coming out. There was quite a good article in Harper's about this that is an excerpt from a book that is coming out later this month about this scandal. We first started hearing kind of notes about this a couple of years ago, but Liz Pelly has really gone out and done the work, and I think has discovered that it is not. Spotify denied it until recently, but she's got some sources that really have confirmed that, in fact, the front cover of Harper's this month is Ghost Music. Liz Pelly's book, The Ghosts in the Machine. This is an excerpt. Actually, let me see what the book's name is. I'll scroll down to the bottom of the article. The book is called Mood Machine, The Rise of Spotify and the Costs of the Perfect Playlist. That comes from something Spotify calls the PFC, which is basically a program to generate music at a lower royalty. I mean, often they have musicians doing it, but they contract for it, and they don't have to pay them the same royalties as low as they already pay others. Plus, they don't have the problem that they had with people like Neil Young saying, "Oh, I don't want my music on Spotify because they have Joe Rogan." They don't. None of these complicated artists to deal with. So if you ask for a playlist of ambient content or lo-fi beats, classical compositions, deep focus, look at the names of the artists. In all likelihood, they're fake. Highly recommend the article, and maybe we'll get Liz Pelly on to talk about it.
Spotify's just a bad company. They ruined podcasting. They're trying to ruin music.
I feel like they're kind of stuck between a rock and a hard. Have ruined the music. But they're stuck between a rock and a hard place. I mean, they did not want to be at the mercy.
It's their rock.
But part of the problem is the record industry, right? That the record
industry chose to enter this.
I understand.
Part of is paying artists.
But there's
their problem.
There's really only 3 big labels, right? And so they have so much clout negotiating with Spotify. And Spotify is very aware that they could kill them at any point. The PFC stands for Perfect Fit Content Program. Why pay full price royalties if users are only half listening? For a lot of what people use Spotify for is just basically wallpaper, a wallpaper playlist.
And that's the real sad truth right there.
That's the real truth. Yeah. They couldn't do it if people cared.
Well, if the company Muzak had done this, which basically they did, but they licensed tunes you knew and played it in horribly smarmy ways. If Muzak had done this for elevator music and dentist office music, would anybody have ever complained? I don't think so.
No, of course not. And in fact, that's what Spotify found. They slowly added more and more. People didn't complain. So by now, it's almost entirely made up stuff. Spotify denies that staffers were encouraged to add PFCs to playlists and that playlist editors were discontented with the program. But Liz Pelly writes, by 2023, several hundred playlists were being monitored by the team responsible for PFC. Of 150 of them, including ambient relaxation, deep focus, 100% lounge, bossa nova dinner. If you're playing,
okay, wait, can we go on to Spotify and play one of these things now? Can we play one of these?
I don't think we can because
ironically, we'll get taken down for
yeah.
But if you're picking a playlist called Bossa Nova Dinner.
Yeah. What who wants to be associated with that? But if they paid you a fortune to write for Bossa Nova Dinner, would you?
Yeah.
All you have to do is write like 10 different versions of Girl from Ipanema.
Yeah.
That's all they want.
That's all it is. So she interviewed some people who were creating the content. They aren't told why they're creating the content. They could negotiate very low fees for it, but there's a lot of musicians out there in the world who are happy to get paid to make some music.
Yes, so that's the thing. It's the playlists that are being propagated. Like they aren't including any like actual musicians. I guess the people who make the slop are still actual musicians, but they're not making it for. I guess they're making it for those purposes. It's just
you can't knock Kenny G because his music sounds good at dinner.
Well,
but it isn't. It isn't.
No, but they're treating. They have a preferential treatment for these people who are, because they have a general license with these people, right? Like there's like one person who will generate 500 songs for them,
right?
To put on various playlists, and those are the songs that are going to get on playlists, and not the ones that people might actually want to hear.
One of the things Liz says is Spotify rigged its system against musicians who knew their worth. So it favors musicians who are cheap. Right? And Taylor Swift knows her worth.
Yeah.
That makes her very expensive. So she talked to one person who signed a 1-year contract to make anonymous tracks for a production company that would distribute them on Spotify. He called it his Spotify playlist gig, a commitment he also called brain-numbing and pretty much completely joyless. And while he didn't understand, she interviewed this guy, while he didn't understand the details of his employer's relationship with Spotify, he knew that many of his tracks had landed on playlists with millions of followers. Quote, I just record stuff and submit it, and I'm not really sure what happens from there, he told me.
Why do they even need musicians?
Yeah, I think now they probably could use AI, right? I think
there probably is a considerable amount of AI in there already.
Yeah. He says, honestly, for most of this stuff, I just write out charts while lying on my back on the couch. And then once we have a critical mass, they organize a session and we play them. It's usually just like one take. You knock out like 15 an hour in an hour or two.
Christ.
Yeah. A typical session starts with a production company sending along links to target playlists as reference points. He says he then charts out new songs that would stream well on those playlists. Honestly, for most of this stuff, he said, I just write out the charts. Oh, I said this while lying on my back. The goal for sure is to be as milquetoast as possible. I mean, obviously, if you use Spotify, you might say, "Oh, that's too bad," but it's not like you complained. It's not like you didn't listen to Bossa Nova Dinner over and over.
I wonder what this did.
Saving money.
Spotify pays on the basis of proportion of use, right?
Normally, they pay royalties. These are all flat fee.
No. But what I'm saying is, the more that this crap was listened to, the less they had to pay others.
Artists, real artists. Exactly.
Right. So it was a double-pronged business benefit.
Yeah. You're watching This Week in Google with Jeff Jarvis, Paris Martineau, Leo Laporte, Benito,
Beans.
and
We're full of beans.
Chubby the cat, who is now cooking. This is another example of how far we've come with AI. This is one of you posted this.
I put this up.
Yeah, this is a cat. Looks pretty real.
Yeah. Well, the carrots coming off the carrot don't look real.
It's getting there though.
This is what we're destroying our environment for.
Cat is putting, yes, exactly.
Oh, look, there's carrots appearing
out of nowhere.
Yeah, out of nowhere.
Cats would not like carrots.
Cats wouldn't wear aprons, and they definitely wouldn't use a spatula. They just bat it with their paws.
Well, in the moment the cat is going, look, the cat has its paw on the hot pot.
Well, they don't know. What do they know?
Cat.
They're just kitties.
I do think that cats would like to smoke cigarettes if they were made. That's my take.
I think this is pretty impressive.
But the dish looks terrible.
Yeah, it's not
cabbage and carrots. No, thank you.
What do you want? You want a cat cooking, or you
Cats
want a cat cooking something
carnivores.
Yeah.
I want some
But a
realism.
cat can use chopsticks. Very impressive.
I want to drill into the narrative.
Thank you for that cat interview.
I thought you'd enjoy it.
I do appreciate it.
All right.
right.
I forgot before, since we're going to do a little oddity here. Hank Green's test for AGI. Did you see that online?
No. What is his test for? Let's go to Blue Sky, where everything good is. Mm-hmm. Hank Green, who is? Tell us who Hank Green is. Jeff.
Hank Green is Hank and John Green are the magnificent vlog brothers on YouTube who do great things. And Hank did a video recently that was very nice to my book, The Gutenberg Parenthesis. I've always been a fan of Hank, but now ever more so. Hank is damn smart. He skeets, I should say. After further interrogations and suggestions, in the spirit of the Turing test, I propose the Cripslock test. No system can be called AGI if that system cannot reliably determine whether or not it is spewing absolute BS. Named for Saccharissa Cripslock, who is somebody I guess Hank knows. That sounds awfully tautological. Well, the problem will be that you'll ask it, and it's like the lawyer who used it to make the case citations. When he went back and asked it, "Are these real?" It said, "Well, yes."
Oh, yeah.
Because it's meant to
Actually,
please you.
there is an interesting phenomenon these days with prompts, where, for instance, you have an AI write some code, and you say, "Can you make it better?" And it does.
Yeah.
And again, you can do that. That's very weird.
You had in the rundown. It's public domain day. I think
yes,
today,
it was
right?
January 1st was public domain.
January 1st, right. So I tried to take a couple of them. I put them into Notebook LM, and I said, write me a 1-hour TV script. It didn't do very well.
No.
So
as you know, works from 1929 are now public domain. Sound recordings from 100 years ago, because they get a little special deal, 1924 are now public domain. That means I can play them without fear of getting.
No, you're still going to get taken down.
You think
it's still going to happen? Try it.
So
do you know
remember,
do you know what January 1st also is, though?
What?
While we're loading this,
Yeah.
It's the official birthday of every horse in America.
You know, a funny thing happened in my calendar. I had 128 birthdays on January 1st.
All horses.
It's not just horses. It's anything that doesn't have an official birthday. So I'd never seen this before. I've never seen it in January 1st.
Like
before.
for what? For your toaster?
It was software. It was a whole bunch of stuff.
What?
I guess, I don't know. I use a program called Card Hop. And I do have birthdays in my calendar. I don't know. Here, let's. I think I can show it. I don't think there's anything completely private in here. Oh, I have to turn on. I turned off birthdays because it was so annoying. Let me turn them back on. Yeah, I think it just by default. It was a weird thing. It just added. There's birthdays. It just, I guess, if it didn't know a birthday, it added it in. So I'm now adding in all the birthdays, and then January 1st. Wait a minute, I still don't see those, huh? But literally, trust me, they were there, and it was uncommonly difficult to use my calendar on January 1st. It was jammed. So what is in the public domain? This song. Right, now here's the key, by the way. The rights are held by both the music publisher, the artist, the performance is copied. So what you have to do is a song that is in the public domain and the performance is 100 years old. So here, for instance, is Jelly Roll Morton playing the Shreveport Stomp from 1924, a day that did not have good recording technology.
But it was amazing in its time.
And I can play it.
No, I bet you it sounded good originally. This was someone's favorite song, so they played out the record.
Oh, you think the record's played out? Well, you'd think that
it wasn't as good as it's going to be today.
How about Marian Anderson? This is from the Library of Congress. It ought to be a good recording. Let's hear. It's a little scritchy. How come? So do you ever wonder when you look at old movies or hear old songs or look at pictures of old people from 100 years ago, like, were they like us, but they just...
Well, to say it as a radio guy, if you were taught in radio in 1930...
To talk like this.
Exactly, an entirely different voice.
But the person inside talking in that funny voice would be like me, like a human.
Like a bean.
Like a human being.
Like a human being.
Books, A Farewell to Arms, Ernest Hemingway's. So it's going to be early Ernest Hemingway, early William Faulkner, The Sound of the Fury.
I put Sound of Fury into Notebook LM and had it write a script.
Oh.
And then realized, of course, it uses the N-word, so I killed that immediately.
Yeah. I really liked that novel. I wrote a paper about that in school.
I put All Quiet on the Western Front in, and there wasn't enough dialogue for it, so it doesn't know how to make the dialogue.
Oh. Some early Mickey Mouse movies.
Well, the earliest was last year, but now there's more Mickey Mouse this year.
Yeah, in fact, the
Different
first Mickey Mouse talking is now in the public domain. He first talked in a movie called The Carnival Kid. So here it is from the Wikimedia Commons. Can I play this? I feel like Disney's going to go after me anyway. The Carnival Kid. I guess it's a silent movie. There we go. Now I have to say, I do like seeing these old movies. Here's Mickey. He's giving Minnie a hot dog. Some weird Freudian. Oh,
and she raised her skirt to give money. This is too much for me.
Stocking. He's making the universal symbol for. Jeez. All right. That's now in the public domain. Aren't you glad? But I imagine in 1929, this was kind of amazing to hear these. I don't know what people were like back then. Were they like us?
Well, somebody like you walked on the beach with somebody like Walt Disney, and he said, "You won't believe what's going to happen.
Make music."
Yeah, these were the first cartoons. I think
they're really
seeing those
good.
For the first time would have probably been pretty mind-blowing.
Yeah. Can you imagine? Yeah. Very cool.
But there was a moral panic. Nickelodeons, the city of Chicago shut down Nickelodeons. The Chicago Tribune insisted they had to be banned because they were turning out criminals of our youth.
Making bad people for our youth. All right. I think we should take another pause and come up with something else interesting. You're watching the show formerly known as This Week in Google with Jeff Jarvis, formerly known as Professor Emeritus at the school there in CUNY.
Places.
At the places.
Yeah,
And
places.
Paris
You know, the
Marno
places.
Writes for the weekend at the Information. What are you working on right now, Paris? What are you working on? Something secret? Something good?
You muted, Paris.
Yep, you're muted.
We'll be able to talk about it next week. Exciting stuff. I keep muting myself to sip beverages and then forgetting to unmute myself. So apologies.
I don't ever
slurping.
I don't know that people need to hear my sounds of swallowing. But
You know, Tiny Tim thought it was awful to eat in front of other people.
He had misophonia. So there's not an uncommon, I've learned it because I often would eat during the breaks of my radio show, and it really upset people because they had misophonia, which is the
I cannot stand open mouth chewing. It drives me crazy.
you don't like the sounds of chewing.
Oh, God, no.
Okay, the sound, specifically the vision, like looking at someone chewing does
that I
really skeeve me
understand.
out.
But
And there's all these videos now where that's what they're doing. They go get the pizza and they right in front of the camera.
A mukbang, yeah, we don't like that.
A mukbang? What's that?
What the hell's that?
That's a video where someone, usually a young woman, eats a comical amount of food in one sitting in front of the camera.
No.
Yeah.
Ooh, no.
Sorry
Is
for
that some sort of
I'm just
weird-
talking about guys going to test the best hot dogs.
It's a genre of YouTube video.
Is it?
Yeah,
the whole
and
genre.
it is kind of sexual.
Fetish? Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to.
Arguably, yeah. No, we're not looking at mukbang
don't
videos.
Do it. No.
You're going to get the weirdest. This is going to replace all the bikini content in your Facebook.
It can't be any worse. All right, mukbang. Okay.
Paris, how do you know these things?
I truly don't know. I think it's just through osmosis. Like, I couldn't tell you why I know what a mukbang is.
Well,
but I
because she
do.
saw this on CBS Sunday Morning.
Watch what you eat goes that familiar expression. But we promise you there's nothing familiar about this story from David
This came out of
Pogue.
Jane Pauley's mouth?
No, David Pogue did it.
Oh, God.
I love CBS Sunday
I mean,
Morning.
mukbang is a Korean word. It's a Korean word.
It's a Korean
Oh, it is?
term.
Oh.
Refers to YouTube videos of people eating and talking about their meal. David Pogue talked with mukbang celebrity Bethany Gaskin. 2.3 million subscribers on YouTube.
For eating.
Gosh. So those people, I guess people who enjoy that, do not have misophonia. You are watching This Week in the show, as I said, formerly called This Week in Google, soon to be Intelligent Machines on the Twit Podcast Network. Do we care about CES? Do we want to talk about HDMI 2.2?
There wasn't much. Man,
No,
I
we
looked
don't.
every day, and there's just not much.
Nothing.
No.
Oh, we could
I
talk
just
about
can't believe we're still doing this. I can't believe people are still going to CES.
I know,
coming
me
back
too.
with a bunch of wacky products. I saw someone touting. They were like, "Wow, they unveiled an AI body scanner that will use light to scan every fabric of your being at once." And I was like, "No, they won't. That's not happening.
No.
How have we gone
No.
through so many years of CES companies promising ridiculous futuristic products that never end up materializing?"
Jason's there now with a team.
Did he get with a team?
Yeah, from Tom Merritt.
Wow.
He's doing stuff with Tom Merritt now.
They're
so,
doing
yeah.
better
Ed is
than I
there.
thought. Really? He's got a
there
team?
Are 4 people. There are 4 people there.
We can't afford to send me.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, good on Jason and Tom. That's great.
Yeah, there's a Withings Omnia full body scanning health mirror. To your point, there's a Pawport automatic pet door opener. These are the things I found. And Roborock's Roomba competitor gets a robot arm. That was
Yeah,
the
there were
best
a
I could
couple
find.
of robot
Wait,
vacuums
what?
with arms. They have arms.
It'll pick
They
up
can-
your
So
socks.
stupid.
Yeah, it's so stupid.
When put them where?
I don't know, but it'll pick them up.
Fling them behind it. What another sock? I'm
Does it have like
vacuuming here.
human-like fingers?
Yeah.
Yeah,
You wanna
the
see it?
video's there. Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry. After talking so much crap about CES, I do
Now-
want to
now
see.
you're curious. Now you
I
wanna
want to
see
see
it.
the full human hand attached to a Roomba.
All right. This
It's
is,
kind of like. Do you guys remember that DJ Roomba that just had a knife attached to it?
This is the
No.
Dream. It had a knife attached to it.
Imagine a Roomba, but with a giant kitchen knife stapled to the top.
This is
They could
from
also play
Gadget.
music.
Oh, I
Dream
see.
with an E. It is now opening its hood. The arm
It's a
is
clam.
emerging. There's nothing to pick up, though, so it's just going to say hello.
Should wave at us.
This is just creepy.
No, it's not. It's just dumb.
I just don't see the need for this.
No, me neither.
No, there are a few of these. This
Like,
was the year for
That
robot
arm's going to
arms.
get stuck in there. Unfortunately, the thing can't grab anything, is what the line of text on that article just read.
It says it wasn't showing it grabbing something. Okay, thank you. Well, we appreciate the reporting because poor Carissa Bell for Engadget had to go to CES, had to suffer at CES, will probably come back sick, and all that for not much. Here's another robotic vacuum with a robo arm, the Roborock. Oh, there's some socks at least.
Yeah.
Saros Z70. There comes the arm. It's going to get a sock. Or is it? Now, what does
barely.
it do? Now, that's what I really
Where
want to
did
know.
the sock go?
They don't show that. They cut
That's
cut
the thing
away.
is, what's going to happen to the sock?
It's
You're
just putting it
concerned about
behind
the
it.
fate of the sock.
I guess it moves the sock, but it doesn't put away the sock. You know how to move the sock, but you don't know how to put away
wait. Here
the
comes
sock.
the exciting ending. This could be a denouement here. No, it puts the sock down on the floor again.
Floor.
And yes, AGI is right around the corner, folks.
AGI is right around the corner, and it's going to pick up the stuff you leave on the floor and hide it from you so you can't
This is
find
kind
it.
of my point about
Because it's smarter than
CES.
But that's the stuff that we want AGI to do, is pick up our crap. That's,
Yeah.
that's
Oh,
what we want
if
it
they
to
could
do.
pick it up, wash it, and fold it, then put it in my drawer, I'd love that.
We also had at CES LG unveiling affectionate intelligence.
Nope. Nope.
I don't want the robot to hug me.
Nope.
How many times have we heard this one? The new AI-powered Samsung refrigerator will, guess what? Allow direct grocery ordering with Instacart.
For years they've been
Years
doing
we've heard this. Years.
So the sad thing is, the only way, I mean, they're probably never going to do it, right? Samsung's the company that, by the way, put out a refrigerator with a screen and a browser in it that no longer works because they can't update the browser. So now people have I know I have a friend who has a refrigerator with a screen in it, but can't do anything with it. So this Samsung refrigerator will have the ability to restock groceries.
And finally, Google TV. This is our kind of CES changelog. Google TV is getting Gemini. You know what? I was thinking about it. Having AI in your toaster is stupid, and in your robot is stupid. But on your TV set, kind of makes sense. You know, it's a screen. It's an information screen. You can use it for.
I mean, I use Siri on my Apple TV, but it'd be nice if we're a little smarter.
For what?
Right.
Well, there's a couple of commands I like. One is, what the hell did she just say? And then, no, this is a good one. Then
Really?
Siri backs up 30 seconds, turns on the captions, and plays it again.
Wow.
Oh, that's pretty good.
That is pretty good.
It's the old man feature. It's really, what did she just say? I use that a lot. And then you can say...
Is that a standard canned feature?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's been there for years. You can also say Wicked, and then it will show you all the ways you can stream Wicked, something like that. But an assistant would be nice, saying like, I don't know, I'm kind of tired. I just want to watch something light and funny, maybe between 30 minutes and an hour. What do you got? That would be cool. If it actually came up with a good answer. Right.
Can we do since one more since kind of maybe
No,
this is the
good.
last.
We're getting
maybe this is the last Google changelog ever. Line 80. Have you turned on this feature?
Let's see. By
Google's
the way, we will
AI.
have
Wait, do we want to do the Google changelog
No.
theme?
No. For the last
One
time?
last time? Sure, one last time.
Go ahead.
Sorry, it's not available at the moment.
You killed
it already, Benito?
Hey, we're not changing the name until like the 5th, so we got another couple of shows.
So this is actually a post from
Type.
That's what I did. I went to Google Gemini and said, make me a theme song with recorders that sounds like that. And it did.
Google changelog.
Now we needed to play taps, Benito.
So you picked a story from the New York Times.
And then and then I did it. I installed it, right?
So this is some sort of summary.
And it came and asked me, do you want to install this? Yes, okay, sure.
So it's a Chrome extension called Help Me Read.
No, it's just part of Chrome. And if anytime I'm on any page and I double click, I two-finger click, it'll come up and ask me whether it wants me to summarize that page.
That's cool.
And so I did that with
good?
so I did it with so Rich Sutton's piece. I looked at it and I said, "Oh, do I really want to read all this?" I thought, "No, I have a new feature." So I summarized this with "Help Me Read," which makes me feel stupid.
Yeah.
So it comes up with one paragraph. The article highlights the importance of general methods that leverage computation in AI research. Doesn't tell me anything. It gives examples from computer chess. Okay, so. It doesn't really get to the essence of it. The article emphasizes the power of general purpose methods.
By the way, I feel like Google is way behind in this stuff. Because I can use
Google
Perplexity.
can install this wherever we are now. That's the thing.
Right.
So now on Google search and on Google, every web page I bring up, I can now use this. That's the power of Google. You don't use Chrome, so you can't see it.
Now, I'm kind of intrigued if I feed this to Perplexity AI. Let me try this.
Well, if I fed the same thing to Gemini itself, it'll probably be much better. This is their help me read feature, which is
that's what I'm saying. Google's way behind. That's exactly.
No, I'm saying if you compare apples to apples, Gemini to Perplexity.
So here's Perplexity's answer to this question about the bitter lesson that we talked about. The main argument is that general methods leveraging computation power are ultimately the most effective in AI. Oh, that's actually said it better than I did. Did a better job of summarizing than I did. You know what? This is excellent.
That's a more thorough summary than I feel like
yeah.
these things normally give.
Perplexity is, I use all the time now for research. I will just say, what is the source of headaches or something, and it, or whatever, and it's very useful. The thing that it does that I really like is it gives you footnotes. It's kind of what Neva used to do. It gives you footnotes so you can go to the original source. It's not just making this stuff up. And then you can ask follow-up questions and so forth. I think.
Do you use Perplexity Discover for news?
Yeah, sort of. Yeah.
Sort of. Same answer here. Yeah.
I'm very impressed with Perplexity. I find it very useful, and the thing that makes it more useful is it's connected to the internet now. Mm-hmm. So unlike some ChatGPT, whose models are more than a year old, you get current information, which is I think really good.
So this may be a fun one. Have you tried Deepseek?
No, what's that?
So Deepseek is line 75. Okay. It got a lot of attention right before the end of the year, and it's a Chinese model that was built on 1/10 the compute of the major models out now.
Interesting.
And supposedly can meet their challenges. And if you go to DeepSeek, I think you have to go prove you're human or something. Hold on, I can't type. I got a computer. I'll type on my keyboard.
But you can use it in English?
Oh, yeah. So if you go to DeepSeek, I've already
And remember, the Chinese are somewhat limited because of U.S. sanctions.
Well, that's what's interesting. So if you go to it, you have two choices. You can ask it a question, and you can either have it do deep think or search. So go to deepseek.com or chat.deepseek.com, but do the deep think first, because it's funny how it comes back. You got to start now. You got to go up. Start now. You got to do that. It's going to ask you to do whatever.
Oh, well, we don't need to do this.
Oh, well, that's maybe interesting enough.
All right.
If you're going to be on an AI show in the future, you're going to have to do this stuff.
I need help. It says click on the smallest yellow triangular pyramid in the picture. There it is.
There's only one, so you can argue with it then.
And then it gives me...
not found. Oh, because you failed the CAPTCHA.
But I can pretty print this for some reason. I don't know what
I would say, yeah.
I was going to use login with Google. That's when it wants this.
Yellow cone. There you go.
The login with Google OAuth is it's not working.
It's not happening today.
All right.
Anyway, I will leave this as an exercise for the listener and viewer. Deepseek.com.
So what happens is just
of it.
So I went in and I asked. I can't remember what I asked it. I sent it all to Jason. It in kind of hazy text, it was oddly humble. Well, let me think about that. I'm thinking about this. It could be this. It could be that. It's trying to act like it's thinking before my very eyes. And then after a few screen loads of this supposed thinking, it gives me the answer. I couldn't copy and paste the thinking text, only the answer text.
Huh.
But it tried to present some kind of humility as brand. Then if you search of deep thinking, it'll just go to the web and get you the answer and come back, and it's kind of okay. But the reason it got all this attention is because it could be showing, A, how much cheaper it could be to train models. I'm not sure how it did it. B, it's in China. So, uh-oh.
Right.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
Huh.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
How did you find out about this?
Benedict Evans, who I quote constantly, said at the end of the year, he said, Deepseek came in with the kind of the under-the-wire, end-of-the-year big AI news, and people aren't paying attention. So,
but did you also notice in this article that when you ask DeepSeek what model it's using, it says ChatGPT?
Well, that's the question. So here's the funny thing. If it, in fact, is learning from ChatGPT, is ChatGPT going to have the same complaint against DeepSeek that publishers have against ChatGPT?
Or is it just
ChatGPT? It's just chat, like it is an API of ChatGPT.
Yeah.
Like it just said the model is ChatGPT.
The model is?
That's what Leo just got.
It says I'm Chat. It doesn't even say the model is. It says I am ChatGPT.
Oops. Oops.
Specifically, I'm based off the GPT-4
Now,
architecture.
in this article, it says it mistakenly identified itself, but I don't know if that's a mistake. We've seen this, by the way, in other people with phony AIs that are really just links to ChatGPT. So I'll believe it when I see it. This is part of the problem is it's hard to verify that, right? How do you know? How do you
I just
know?
asked it, and it says, "Hi, I'm DeepSeek V3."
Yeah, they fixed that bug.
Yeah, of course. An AI assistant independently developed by the Chinese company Deepseek Inc.
Okay. Methinks they doth protest too much. So what did Sam Altman say in his reflections on the new year?
How pissed he was at everybody who screwed him over, in his view, on that fateful weekend. Oh, yeah, he got
This
pissy.
is going to be the year of grievances.
It's absolutely his grievances. Yes, absolutely.
Grievances and gripes.
Sons of guns.
And then he says,
it hasn't been easy. The road hasn't been smooth, and the right choices haven't been obvious.
For instance, I got fired at one point and then rehired.
Getting fired in public with no warning kicked off a really crazy few hours and a pretty crazy few days.
So this is where it drives me nuts toward the end. We are beginning to turn our aim beyond that to superintelligence in the true sense of the word. There is no sense of the word. It's all a lie.
So
it's all
is
false.
AGI like
no, he's beyond that. Oh, that's
a precursor to superintelligence. Like
yes,
after you get AGI, which is like just as smart as us, you get something that's smarter than us.
You're the average bean, and then you're a superfood. Yes.
Oh, okay.
We love our current products, but we are here for the glorious future. Oh, Jesus, just scare me. With superintelligence, we can do anything else. Superintelligent tools could massively accelerate scientific discovery and innovation well beyond what we're capable of doing on our own, and in turn, massively increase abundance and prosperity. At the end of this 2 paragraphs, given the possibilities of our work, OpenAI cannot be a normal company. No, we're a special company.
I might have to get this paw port for our cat. Is this an AI cat? Oh, look, it opened right up.
It opens up. You were wearing a thing, and it knows you're coming.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, our cat is chipped, and we have a kind of traditional cat door that will only... It'll open to anything that wants to get out, but it will only open to the cat to get in. Because in case some critter gets in, you want it to be able
My parents need that because they have a dog, and recently they found a cat in their house.
Yeah, exactly.
Did you convince them to keep the cat?
Oh, this
I
one
tried,
they have to wear
but
a
my
collar.
dad threw it out the door instead.
Oh,
I know.
Oh, the dog's going to save them. There was a huge fire burning. Maybe this was in the... by the way, no levity about L.A. Many friends down there who have lost their homes, who have been evicted.
It's incredible.
Very sad.
It's
very
really
sad.
terrible.
Yeah.
No rain for 8 months? I mean, Jesus.
Yeah, we've had a lot of rain up here. I guess they didn't get it down there, which is too bad. All right. I think we take one more break and then get your picks of the week. What do you say?
Sounds good.
Good.
You're watching This Week in Google with Jeff Jarvis and Paris Martineau. We're glad you're here. Before we go on, just a quick note. We would love to have you in our Club Twit. It is one of the ways we keep this network on the air and keep the lights on. It's a very important way. Plus, we give you, I think, lots of benefits. $7 a month. You get ad-free versions of all the shows. You get access to the wonderful Club Twit Discord and special events that go on in the Discord. We have Stacy's Book Club. It's going to be coming up in a little bit. Tomorrow, it's going to be Chris Marquardt and his photo assignment. We'll do a photo review and talk about photography. We also have Micah's Crafting Corner and a whole bunch of other stuff. I honestly, the benefits are great, but the real reason to join Club Twit is to support what we do. If you enjoy our shows, $7 a month. We keep it affordable. Visit twit.tv/clubtwit and join the club. We'd love to have you. Also, while you're there, another way you can help us is by doing the survey. Twit.tv/survey. Should only take you a few minutes. It's it's the only way, really, that we get to know you. And in aggregate, we take the information we get from that, and it helps us sell. For instance, we now know that 80% of our audience are IT decision makers, that kind of thing. And advertisers are always anxious for that kind of information. No personal information. I promise you, we don't aggregate. We don't track anybody or anything like that. We have no interest in that. We do aggregate the entire survey results and give them percentages and things like that. It is helpful to us. So if you haven't done it yet, you have till the end of the month, twit.tv/survey. All right, now let's see. What else do we have on the agenda today? I do love this story about the tech entrepreneur who got trapped in a Waymo and nearly missed his flight. Just started going around in circles. That is straight out of the TV show Silicon Valley, by the way.
And he's a tech guy, so he thinks, well, I got pawned. I know all these tech guys. Somebody did this to me.
Oh.
So at first he thought that he was trying to call in.
He was on the phone seeking help from the company. I have my seatbelt on. I can't get out of the car. Has this been hacked? What's going on? Is somebody playing a joke on me? I've got a flight to catch. Actually, I can play a little bit of this video.
Connected to rider support. This call may be recorded for quality.
He's just going around. It's getting dizzy.
Hi there, Mike. This is Gab. I'm calling from Waymo support. I'm just calling because I received a notification that your car might be experiencing some routing issue.
Some routing?
Yeah,
I got a flight to catch. Why is this thing going in a circle? I'm getting dizzy. Look at what it's doing.
I understand. I'm really, really sorry, Mike. We're currently working with the situation of the vehicle.
But I have to read a script, so this is going to take longer than you want.
Circling around a parking lot.
Don't they have an emergency stop button?
What's going on?
I think they have to file a report first.
Is somebody playing a joke?
They should have he should have a big red button that says, "Let me out of here."
I understand, Mike. I'm really sorry for this. We're working
That's my
with
script.
this, but by any chance, do you have an access to your Waymo app right now?
Yeah.
Okay. Now I'm gonna be pulling the car over while we are trying to assist the car.
Let me out of here.
It continues to go in circles.
Oh my goodness! I just better not be
stopped.
late for the flight. You guys are gonna take care of the flight.
Oh boy. Anyway, we won't get into the grievances there, but wow.
That call center was in the Philippines.
You could tell from her accent?
Yep.
Yeah.
Wow.
Her English was good, but there were some pronunciation and accent issues. Yeah. Interesting.
Do you want to choose your Silicon Valley Think Boy, or is that too
that was going to be my pick of the week.
Oh.
No, I wasn't. Choose your Silicon Valley Think Boy. Curtis, Balaji, Ray, Eliezer, Jack. These are all real people. Peter.
So
they're all Think Boys.
Pick Peter, for example.
Oh, you can actually pick him?
No, I'm just saying.
Less facial emotions
than a lizard. Yeah, these are all real people, aren't they?
Yep.
Nice. I'm sure Jason Calacanis is miffed that he's not in this list.
Yes, exactly.
Hey, what about me? I'm a Think Boy.
I accidentally watched a Jason video today. It just came up, and I don't know why. And he's skiing, I'm sure, in the most amazing place in the world. And he has to pick more of that pow pow. It's powder, Jason. Just say powder. Just that pow. I'm going to go get some more pow pow. Oh, Jesus. You infantilize yourself.
If I ever start doing things like that, will you just slap me?
You know we're going to slap you.
Okay, good. It is time for our picks of the week. Let's start with Paris's thing, a post-mortem.
So some people have been, actually quite a lot of people have been messaging me on Blue Sky asking for me to talk about what happened with Nicvember. So I did a little thread whenever I was trapped at an airport for like 7 hours over the holidays and then on a plane for a while. So I went through some of my favorite movies from Nicvember. For those who don't recall, Nicvember was my attempt in November to watch one Nick Cage movie a day, or about 30 Nick Cage movies. The TLDR is I didn't hit that exactly because I ended up getting sick and then the election happened. But, I did like one every other day, which I think is good.
You like Face Off a lot. You said one of the best movies ever made.
Face Off is the reason I did Nicvember.
I like your choice.
It got me back into movies. I saw it in theaters once, like a year ago, and decided seeing movies in theaters is the way. And I was not wrong. Face Off is fantastic. A phenomenal film. I feel like pinnacle of big dumb action movie, but also it just really holds up on a rewatch. It's great. Highly recommend. But starting Nicvember, I wanted to kind of go through Cage's whole oeuvre. So I started with his first ever appearance in TV or film, which was this pilot from 1981 called The Best of Times. Cage is 17 in it and plays a meathead named Nick. And it's honestly fantastic. It's a weird kind of after school special. All the other kids in it are kind of normal. There's weird musical elements. It's available for free on YouTube. But Nick Cage, for some reason, plays a meathead who's haunted by the shadow of war and that he could one day be drafted, and is just is already doing
He's
the Nick
already
Cage
Nick.
you see together. Yeah. You could play a clip from that. I don't know if they'll take you down. It's on full on YouTube. But
why I'm registered. They call it the draft. I'm in there, man. That says it's my patriotic duty. But shoot. You don't even get to choose a nice place. Why do they have wars in Vietnam and Korea anyway? Why not someplace real neat, like the French Riviera or Bermuda?
That would be nice.
Great question.
And stay tuned.
Well,
Nick,
it could soon happen any day now.
How do you feel about Denmark, Nick?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Valley
or anywhere, for that matter, anywhere in NATO.
Valley Girl, he was the male lead in that.
Wow.
Good movie. Birdie came right after Valley Girl, which is a
big one. Yeah.
It was his first dramatic lead.
Very
Nick
weird movie.
Cage and Nick Cage and his childhood best friend, who's obsessed with birds, get drafted to go to Vietnam and end up haunted by it. But his friend deals the trauma by progressing to believe he's a literal bird. And Nick Cage is tasked with trying to get him out of the psych ward. It's crazy.
I can't believe 1984. Wow. This has been going on for a long time.
Okay. A real early banger that everybody should watch is Peggy Sue Got Married, a 1986 movie. Francis directed it. This was, he had changed his name from Nick Coppola to Nick Cage at this point. But Jim Carrey is also in this movie, and there's just but as a side character, so there's a scene of Nick Cage and young Jim Carrey before either were famous doo-wopping, and it's great. Really recommend it.
Francis is good at that. Raising Arizona.
Classics. Yeah. Raising Arizona, Moonstruck. Everybody knows those are great.
We're not going to go through all of them, but there's some good stuff here. This is good.
Okay, I'll do exactly two more. Zandali, 1991, worst movie I've ever seen.
Never heard of it.
One of my, don't watch it. It's bad. Vampire's Kiss from 1998. It's
classic.
American Psycho, but vampires, phenomenal.
Yeah.
Paris, I need another report from last year.
Mm-hmm.
I need to know what happened at the White Elephant Party.
Where she was handing out
we had a role here
that said freshly
baked. We deserve to know.
Okay, so White Elephant Party for the bourgeoisie. We went to Hometown Hot Pot and Barbecue in Chinatown.
Yum.
And all ate a bunch of meats and then put our presents on the table and did White Elephant. What did I end up getting? I ended up getting an oyster candle, which is just normal. But by and large, the winner of the group was my box of weird stickers. Everybody was obsessed with it. Everybody wanted some.
Everybody could have some because there were so many of them.
There were hundreds of them. People stole it. People then afterwards asked for it. People put the stickers in their phone. They loved it. It was a great
What
pick,
was the
guys.
most? You had shrimp. You had freshly baked. What
Or
else
I said
did you have?
freshly fully cooked.
Fully cooked is
fully
very
cooked. And hot Italian.
Which was the most popular?
I think everybody had a bit of a mix. Some people really like shrimp. Some people were like, I'm a hot Italian. And other people were like, I'm fully cooked. So, there was really something for everyone.
Something for everyone. That's what
the only other sleeper kind of hit at the thing was someone, for some reason, the bourgeois ski has this like long running gag where whenever someone posts a kind of innocuous photo in the group chat, someone will send it back to the group chat, but with a like cartoon gun just included somewhere very tiny in the photo that you can't really see. And so someone got a gold necklace with a tiny little gun on it. And that was a good one.
We should explain to people new to the show that the bourgeois ski is Paris's skee ball team.
It is my skee ball team, yes.
And
I'm also my core friend group. Yeah. We do
And
a
so
lot
it's
of
a very
good stuff.
clever name. Is it spelled with S-K-E-E at the end? Bourgeois
Yes.
ski? Yeah.
Bourgeois ski.
Very good. It's a good name.
Who came up with the name?
My friend Maya, who's the skee ball
So
captain.
you should give captain of the skee ball team. Oof.
Yeah.
Does she get a special little C on her
She does
shirt?
in all of our hearts.
Jeff Jarvis, your pick of the week.
I could go highbrow. I could go lowbrow.
Oh, go both ways.
Highbrow is that Google has created with DeepMind the Habermas machine.
What? You talk about Habermas, but I forget.
What is that?
Jürgen Habermas of the Frankfurt School, still alive, German philosopher,
He's still
mind-bendingly
alive?
difficult to read. Oh, yes, he is.
Wow.
Who theorized about the creation of the bourgeois? There we go, Paris. Public sphere in the coffee houses and salons of 18th century Europe, and known as a kind of he thought that there was a public discourse that was higher than, and then media and everything else ruined it. So the Habermas machine, the idea is that it will take arguments in a disagreement, and then it will create something that both sides could maybe agree upon.
So Habermas thought that if you got people, Habermas was nuts, thought that if you get people together and the conditions are right, they will agree more than they disagree. Habermas obviously comes from a different
Right, so
era.
I write about this at some length in both my Gutenberg book and my magazine book, by the way. Both on sale now, Gutenberg and paperbacks, cheaper than ever. But it's also kind of a joke among people that Habermas is an impenetrable philosopher of the current days.
So now
that's the highbrow.
They call it the Habermas machine, but the idea is it digests the opinions and comes up with a compromise. They could have called it the Solomon machine.
Could have, yes.
Yeah.
So that's the highbrow.
Huh.
The lowbrow,
Yes.
the lowbrow is that as soon as, to Paris's point earlier, as soon as Florida required age verification for porn, within hours, according to VPN Monitor, the requests for VPNs went up 11,050%.
That's a rather large increase.
Yep, there's the chart.
Gotta have it.
Because you could be in any state of the.
So it got Pornhub is now geo-blocked in 12 states.
Isn't that
by geo-blocked, inaccessible unless you do ID verification. But yes, effectively geo-blocked.
I think
no. They just said
we're not going to do ID verification.
We're not going to do it. You're
so
out.
we're not going to be available in those states because we think
Oh.
there's no way to do
poontang
private
for
ID.
you.
Yeah.
Nope.
Actually, it's a principled
Oh
stand.
yeah, I
but
guess this is the thing. They replaced it with a video of a porn actress explaining fully clothed why Pornhub has decided to remove itself from this country.
That's right. So you do get that. I don't think that's what you were looking for, but you do get that. I honestly think these legislators aren't unhappy about that. I think their whole goal is to ban porn. But anyway. Yeah, VPN is going to make it impossible to do what they want to do. Interesting. And probably Pornhub knows that, right? Gizmo, appearance by Gizmo the cat.
Speaking of porn, you're going to see the rear end here?
No, she's got her locked.
She's trying so badly to get
her locked.
She's really trying to show.
She's saying, I want to show you what I've been up to. Ladies and gentlemen, you have been up to a brisk hour and, 2 hours of conversation about all things technology. We are going to keep doing that. We're going to refocus a little bit on intelligent machines, on AI and robotics, and our smart devices, whether it's
and the advertisers are going to just flood in.
They're going to eat it. Watch. We'll have many more.
We're going to be able to have a show for months. We'll tell you months.
I actually like the rebranding, and it's finally a way to get rid of that horrible theme.
And guys, if you're worried that this show's going to be all boring discussion about AI, not going to happen. I would fall asleep. So it's going to be
basically the same show. We're just changing the name to fool the advertisers.
Don't tell that. Don't tell that.
But I think there's an opportunity to get some interesting guests on. So we will do that. We don't want to compete with your show, Jeff. Jeff does AI Insider with our own Jason Howell. Mm-hmm. And that's a great show. So we're not going to be like that show, I think. So
no, because we go through kind of the week's news,
AI news and stuff.
Yeah, we don't get distracted as much as we do here.
Yeah, this is more going to be different.
This is the philosophical discussions here.
Yes,
stuff like that.
Paris Martineau has a very important story that will be breaking on the weekend,
sometime in the next week.
Perhaps.
Is it going to be a weekend publication or sooner?
Perhaps sometime in an upcoming weekend near you.
Well, I'm a paid subscriber to the wonderful information. I think theinformation.com is a must. Very, very astute coverage of technology. And
I'm
also
such a paid subscriber. I had to go through 4 efforts to get my credit card to clear with them.
Damn. If you're interested in more AI news but don't want to subscribe, we just launched a new AI newsletter called Applied AI. It'd be our second AI newsletter that's free, and you can read all the stuff you want there.
See, Jessica knows how to get the advertisers interested. She knows what she's up to. Mm-hmm. Very smart. Thank you, Paris. Great to see you. Jeff Jarvis, congratulations. When do you start your teaching assignment?
I'm probably going to work more on curriculum development.
Okay.
I'm working on a degree that's related to AI. And other fun stuff.
I did see that the Gutenberg parenthesis is going to be used as curriculum material. Did I see that?
Yes, it got an award for an outstanding academic publication from Choice, a publication of the of academic librarians. Jeez, I'm not a real academic. Don't tell them.
Oh, you know what? You're as much an academic as anybody. You count. What makes you an academic? A funny hat? You got it all.
You got so many funny hats.
Thank you, Jeff Jarvis, former professor emeritus, always be professor emeritus at the Craig Newmark Graduate School of Journalism at the City University of New York. Can never lose that theme.
No, we can't.
I bet Craig has things to say about AI. Maybe we can get him back on.
Yeah. Well, I also
AI is right there in his name.
Yeah. You can't spell Craig without AI.
Plus, we want to get Craig and Stacy on because Craig gave a grant to the work that Stacy does.
That's right.
Consumer Reports. So we should have to come on and talk about that as well.
Yeah, that's a great idea. We will absolutely get to work on that. Thank you all for joining us. We do This Week in Google every Wednesday right after Windows Weekly. That's usually around 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern, 2200 UTC. You can watch us live on all of those 8 platforms. Discord, if you're a Club Twit member, but also YouTube, Twitch, Twig. No, there's no such thing as Twig. TikTok, that's it. LinkedIn, Facebook, Kick, and X.com. There, all 8 of them. I try to do
we're not going to call this Twig anymore.
Get a different figure.
So what is it? I am or I'm?
Twim.
Well,
no, it's just im.
This week, so it's im.
Im.
I'm. It's like 60 Minutes. The Ims, they call them.
Oh.
I'm
Bob Wallace.
Right. Yeah.
I'm Marvin Kremsky, and this is
I'm
60 Minutes. Thank you, everybody.
What kind of bean
us.
are you?
I'm a human bean.
I'm a lima bean.
I'm a black bean. I like my black bean.
I love black beans.
Controversial.
Yes. We don't talk about race here, Jeff. I think we should know that. Thank you, everybody, for being here. We'll see you next time on This Week in Google. Bye-bye.